So what do you need to know about the weather when you're climbing a 14er? Hi, I'm Jeff. Welcome to my channel, 14ers for Beginners, where an ordinary guy like me wants to help ordinary folks such as yourselves summit your first few 14ers. And so I hope this is helpful to get you to from where you are to the top of those mountains. If it is, I'd love it if you hit like or subscribe or leave a comment below so that I know this has been helpful and a blessing to you. So in terms of weather, let's start with seasons. The season in which we are most likely to be climbing our first 14er is in the summer months, more specifically from about Father's Day to about the middle of September. If you go earlier than that, higher odds you're going to run into snow on the mountains. If you go after that, or really after about the 1st September, you're running snow risk there as well. And so kind of that window is the most likely window, and the window I would suggest that you aim at when climbing your first 14er. One thing we're going to want to think about is that we kind of need to pay attention to the weather at different times of the day and different locations, both the trailhead and the top of the mountain, early in the day and later in the day when we'll be finished. The altitude does make a difference, and so there will be different temperatures throughout the hike, and so it's something we're going to want to pay attention to as we're looking at the weather ahead of time and making decisions on what we need to pack, when to go, maybe even not to go as we think about the weather. A couple things. The coldest part of the day is sunrise. Shortly thereafter sunrise, that first few minutes after sunrise is when it's the coldest. And so depending on when you're going to start your hike, if you start real early, pre-dawn, it may actually get colder on you before it gets warmer. Or if you're going to start after dawn, the coldest part may be behind you, but you're going to want to think about that as you time your start and think about your weather, how it compares, and how you need to prepare. Another thing to pay attention to is rain. It's very common in the mountains that there's an afternoon shower sometime in the early afternoon hours, and you're being above tree line, being up as high as you're going to be, there's no protection. And it's not just the rain you need to think about, it's the lightning that usually comes with it as well. That's a real danger. That's a real threat to us. And so we want to be sure that we know if it's supposed to rain, what the chances are. As we're hiking, we're watching the clouds around us. You're up high enough, you get views for hundreds of miles. And that you're timing your hike so that you're down before the rainstorms happen. Again, it's not just getting wet, it's the lightning. And it's not just like, let's get down to tree line when it happens. We want to do our best to be off the mountain before the rain showers happen. So that means you may need to slide the timing, your start time, up earlier than maybe you were thinking so that you can be down in time. Maybe not, depending on the day, right? And if it's no chance of rain, you got more freedom in that, but you really want to pay attention to the rain chances and the storm chances. Another one is wind. Similar to the rain, when you're up high, you're very exposed. You're exposed with the wind as well. So you're going to want to watch the wind. If it's supposed to be a really high wind day, I would suggest that maybe you don't hike. There's nothing protecting you, and it can really beat you up and make the day miserable. And so you're going to want to pay attention to that ahead of time. Another thing you're going to want to think about is sun exposure. Again, you're up higher, you're closer to the sun. There's no shade because there's no trees or anything like that. And you're going to be more exposed to the sun. Think about your route. Are you going up on the south side of a mountain or north side of a mountain or east or whatever it may be? And so things like sunscreen, skin protection, clothing, things like that are going to be important because you can roast up there on that mountain. A typical day in the midsummer, in summertime, let's say July, August, if you start around sunrise, that's going to maybe be 45 degrees, let's say. As you hike up, it's going to warm up, but not a lot. And so maybe when you summit, it's 50, 55 degrees. And then on your way down, it's going to warm up a lot because it's much warmer as you get down, and it's the middle of the day now. So you might get down back to the trailhead and it's 70 degrees. So obviously you want to think about that as you're packing, as you're clothing, and getting your layers figured out so that you are prepared for those changes and you can withstand those well. A couple resources I would send you to research your weather before you go, the days leading up, and so you can make good decisions. One is mountain-forecast.com. It's a really great website where you can type in the specific mountain that you're climbing, and it'll give you the weather at different altitudes, so you can see what that weather is going to be at the trailhead at 6 a.m. and what the weather is going to be at the summit at 10 and so forth. That you can get very specific, and that website is really, really helpful with that. Another website that I found helpful is the government websites. If you're hiking in a national park or a national forest, they also have weather and weather warnings and things like that as well. Obviously, there's lots of weather websites out there, but those I found particularly helpful. So I hope this is helpful. I hope helps you know how to prepare to hike and know how to deal with the weather that will inevitably come your way if you do very many of these. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope that I will get to see you at the top. God bless.